What's really powerful about this is that I'm starting to create this opportunity to empower people to see and imagine and to design how they think structures around them should be in context.
Pascal is teaching everyone around us.
She seems to be one step ahead in many instances of what she's doing. She's sincere. She says she's going to do something, she gets it done.
She has an outlook that anything is possible, right? If you put your mind to it.
She's easily one of the most amazing women I know and one of the most consistent women I know.
She is extremely energetic. She's passionate, driven, and organized.
Where does Pascal's passion come from? I think it comes from her upbringing. It comes from the neighborhood she grew up in, places that she was raised in, the people that she was raised around.
I'm actually born and raised in Queens, New York, an area called Cambria Heights, which was a strong Black Haitian community.
So Pascal is my eldest sister. She's always been kind of that older sister, kind of leading the path, showing her interests and passions through architecture and art.
I think my family is really good at keeping me grounded. We are so unique individuals. Like, we're so different, me and my siblings. And so it really asked or cultivated our personalities to come forth, and it also made this practice of share what you need.
The profession is it's tough. And if you don't have support, it can be incredibly hard to kind of break in and find your place.
I was always an artist, and I was commissioned to do a multicultural jungle gym mural. And so as I'm drawing my jungle gym, a passerby walks by and says, "Huh, you can draw straight lines without a ruler. That's a great skill for an architect to have." And just kept going. And if he had not just had that thought out loud, I'm not actually sure when architecture would have been offered as a potential career path, to be quite honest. And so as much as my family protested, I still kind of persevered, and they let me do it, but there was a lot of pushback about being careful about entering a profession that really wasn't reflective of somebody who looks like me. And my second week of school in an architecture history class, a professor asked me and another student to stand. And the two of us stood, and I totally thought I was being volunteered to do something. And he said, "Okay, well, these two will never become architects because they're Black and because they're women." I call that I was asked to stand moment as this moment where I started to understand my purpose, that I wouldn't be able to just be Pascal when I walk into a space, that I would always be representing my gender and my race. And so therefore I had this responsibility to always show up and show out. This particular moment stands out for me because it was the singular moment that I can recall being outed in that way.
I said, well, discrimination knows no master. I mean, it's free, really discriminating of everything, equal opportunity discrimination.
I think when we're trying to think about shifting the paradigms, it's going to start with the discipline as a whole.
There's something special about Pascal in that she maintains a fierce optimism, but a very clear-eyed vision of what sits in front of us in a real way.
In me sharing my story, I asked the audience to also stand, to say if they've ever been told that they were not adequate to be a designer or in this profession because of their gender and race. And people stand. People are standing in schools of architecture. People are standing in schools of design. People are standing in professional settings. Which means what happened to me doesn't just happen to me.
If I can see it, I can be it. And that's a real thing. If a young person, if a college person can identify with someone that's doing actively the thing that they would want to do, studies have shown that it makes it much easier for them to embody and see themselves doing it.
Pascal is able to nurture a new generation through telling her own story.
Pascal's work around revealing those stories and those narratives and making sure that they are present, not just as faces, but as the craftspeople that they are, is essential to what this movement looks like moving forward.
I went to the Center for Architecture in New York and saw the Beverly Willis Architecture Foundation Built by Women exhibition. And I found the executive director in the crowd, Ben Prosky, and I said, "Hey Ben, if you're willing to do an exhibition focused on women, would you be interested in doing one focused on, people of color?" He said, "Absolutely." And he was my first yes. And we were able to showcase the Say It Loud New York exhibition in January of 2017. And someone who worked at the United Nations saw this exhibition and invited us to do a Say It Loud at the UN Visitor Center, which blew my mind. I was so excited, and just really elevated the exhibition to be seen by not just architects, but really world leaders. And that's when I developed the Great Diverse Designers Library that then takes everybody who's ever been featured in an exhibition and having them showcased in the library.
The significance of the Say It Loud exhibit is really the ability for certain communities to recognize all of the diversity that is within the practice, right?
And it's phenomenal to see literally the contributions of people from all over the country and across the world that, quite frankly, heretofore were not being recognized at all.
Activism starts with the first conversations you have with people about, what do you want? I'm with you. I'm not telling you, I'm listening to you. What is it that we can do to transform your life or to make it better through what we do with our hands and our eyes and our hearts?
Oftentimes your client is whatever entity is paying you, but I've often espoused, and Pascal has as well, that you include the ones that are actually going to live there as a part of the design discussion. And she's been incredibly adept in ensuring that they are part of those discussions.
Pascal is very much of the camp that really puts the human experience and the human being, the soul of the person, at the center of why things are being made.
Whether that be designing a multi-family mixed-use residential building with the first ever brick and mortar hip hop museum, which is crazy to me, but like ever, that has community access, that has waterfront access, that really celebrates people. And so when it's an affordable housing project and they're able to see beautiful materials and see the idea and concept manifested in there and that they see themselves, architecture is a symbol of respect, of self, versus something that oppresses them.
I'm not surprised that Pascal won the Whitney Young Award. Not surprised at all.
It's great to see somebody recognized not at the tail end of their career, but at sort of like this transition pivot point. So it's really, it's inspiring. And it's really empowering, right?
It is not something that is done as a superlative on the side. It's her main priority and her main goal to uplift our culture, our people through design within the community and for the larger benefit of the world.
I was a little, architect in training person who was trying to find her way, trying to find mentors, and I found that in NOMA. I joined the New York chapter, NYCOBA NOMA, was on the board for many years and then ultimately became its president, and then was able to ascend to the national board and serve in that capacity as Northeast Regional Vice President, as historian, and now humbled to be president-elect and be the 5th woman ever to hold that position of power in this organization's 50-year legacy. NOMA was founded because 12 architects was in the space listening to Whitney M. Young Jr.'s speech, saying how we need to make the time for change now. It's not later. And that we are great at patting ourselves on the back, giving ourselves awards and medals, but completely irrelevant for the fight for civil rights and justice.
I think she's going to continue to shine a light on those that have not been recognized or not recognized enough.
I hope that people see the work as an opportunity to extend beyond what traditional practice tells us we should be doing or how we should be doing it, and gives people, again, a pathway towards a new way to operate in this profession.
I know that she'll continue to be a leader in AIA. She'll continue to be a leader in design and in publishing and in all these other aspects of the world. So, she'll do well and becomes another person that we look up to as one of the cornerstones of this profession, Black or white.
She's being recognized for taking a tremendous effort to expose the accomplishments of other people. I couldn't be more happy for her, and I couldn't think of anybody that, quite frankly, is more deserving.